And good morning, everyone. It's a new year, new crew, well, kind of new crew here at Spotlight, brought to you by the Georgetown NAACP branch number 5520. We've got a lot to talk about. You know, we go right in from the holiday season to Martin Luther King, and Black History Month is right around the corner. And a lot's going on in the community with the comprehensive plan, not only in Georgetown, but in your community too. We got a lot to talk about on the state level, and we're going to make that happen right after a new opening. And we're back, folks. Let me go ahead and bring my co-host in with me and our new president, President Deontay Winchester. Deontay, good to see you.
Good morning, Miss Marilyn. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Been busy, but in a good, productive way. So I'm just happy to be here in the numbers.
There
All
you
right.
go.
And let's bring in our third vice president of the state NAACP, Mr. Marvin Neal. Hey, Marvin, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing extremely great to see our president, Deontay Winchester, on today. Our president, newly arrived president, Deontay Winchester. Kudos goes out to him. Much work to be done.
That's right. Always work to be done. And, it's always good. During the holiday season, we have Kwanzaa that reminds us of our cultural connections. And then before you know it, we roll right into Martin Luther King Day. And we had a lot going on. We were kind of scattered, but in particular, because I want y'all to tell me about Representative Benny Thompson. But let's talk about King Day at the Dome and its theme and speaker and everything that went on. Because I know you were highly involved, Marvin.
Me?
Yes, you. I've seen pictures. I've seen evidence.
Oh man, that event was it started off a little cold, but the spirit was so high there in Maryland, you don't even recognize President Deontay Winchester was there, and Steve Williams was there, and our first vice president, Emily Hughes, was there. I mean, just a great event. It started off well at the church. We did a service that morning. The theme was, if it happened once, it can happen again. And that is so true, and such a fitting theme for what we are going through right now and stuff. And Congressman Thompson, he really sent a strong message on just us being woke on what's going on in front of us. And I think a lot of the topics going to lead into what he has talked about doing a speaking engagement there at the State House on Doomsday. And I'm gonna let Deontay talk some about what he experienced and stuff, because he was sitting there absorbing it while I was working. He had the benefit that day. So
It was a powerful event. Just to see so many people of so many different backgrounds come together and march together, and to not have any drama, and to just celebrate Dr. King and his accomplishments and his leadership and his life. We had the Divine Nine there. We had the Masonic organizations there as well. And we had so many other different community support groups as well that all came together to make this event so great. And I tell you what, listening to the senator speak, when we looked at him on TV during that September 6th investigation that they were doing, you listen to him speak, and he speaks so eloquently, and he makes sure that he enunciates every word, and he's so professional, and it almost seems like if you've never known him, or if you've never met him, he seems unapproachable, or that he's someone that will look down on you, but it's not like that. He's he came off to me to be very personable, and he came off to be somebody that's very down to earth, from Mississippi, talked a little bit about his background, talked a little bit about what the legacy of Dr. King meant to him. And I really enjoyed listening to him speak. Great man. And I'm so happy that we have him in our Senate.
Yeah, I see him sitting next to our president, Brenda Murphy. This is Benny Thompson. He was chair, and and I'm assuming still chair of the January
January
6th
6th
committee until, unfortunately, Republicans in control of the House have promised that they're going to end it. But this was a vital committee that he led, and it really revealed January 6th, the conspiracy that surrounded it, the players that were involved, and of course, they've sent the report on to the Department of Justice, the DOJ, so they can continue to do the work and hopefully bring some of the insurrectionists, the conspiracy folks who brought it together, made it happen, bring them to justice. But very well spoken. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
And one more thing, Marilyn,
Yeah, go
before
ahead.
we go away from there, and I think Deontay could attest to this too. The turnout of the young adults was what was so extraordinary.
Oh, yeah.
And those just some of the youth branches in the back, the Columbia branch, the Aiken branch, the different branches in the conference of South Carolina, and they led off the march. Those are the youths carrying the banner there. You know, one of them is the state youth president, youth and college division, Courtney McLean. I mean, gave a dynamic message and always pushing.
Oh, she's a great speaker. Yeah.
I mean, just great, man. She spoke on some of the injustice that was going on. She led the legislation, the writing of the legislation when Richard Moore was about to be executed, you know, by firing squad. And that's she led the legislation that really stopped that. So it says a lot about her strength. That's her right there with the coat on right there, sitting by our second vice president, Henry Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
Just a dynamic young lady. She's a senior this year at USC. Matter of fact, she led also the fight with the AFL-CIO and the other NAACP and those in the union union of student employment at USC, where they get a set when they have a voice in their salaries and stuff. So very strong young lady. She's leaving there to go to Howard University.
Very good. Is she going to go to the law school at Howard? It sounds like she would make a great lawyer.
Hey, that's where she's headed. I mean, just a super young lady, and there's more like her and stuff, you know. So it's just a great day and a great time. And the good thing, the Buffalo Soldiers posted the colors.
Yes.
The Buffalo Soldiers posted the colors, you know, and that meant a lot. You know, and that's Brother Benny Thompson there. I let him grace his presence with me and stuff. I made him look good on the pitch and stuff. You know, he was so happy. But the great thing about him, Marilyn, he takes his time. He's a humble man. And he allowed those youth and everyone that wanted a photo and autograph and stuff, he made sure that happened. He didn't rush people off and bodyguards all over him and stuff. No, he took his time and went down to those students after he spoke and went to the church after that and met with them again and stuff. Huge service to the community and stuff. Great uplifting. I mean, it was just an extraordinary day and stuff. You know, it was a lot of work leading up to that, you know, and Marilyn, I think you and Deontay know how that goes. But I mean, just great opportunity, great support, sponsorship from different organizations, especially the Divine Nine sororities and fraternities, the Deltas Nursing Home, Prince Hall Masons, and the Shriners, and I mean, from the Islamic organizations and stuff. Everybody was there. Everybody spoke on that program. As a matter of fact, the closing remarks was given by Minister Kyle Muhammad, the student Muhammad. It was the Muhammad Mass Student number 38, Columbia, South Carolina. You know, the board of directors was there, Brother James Gallman. I mean, if you name it, they were there that day. The South Carolina district deputy of the Human Affairs, he was there. You know, I spoke with him on last week. He had his kids there taking picture with Congressman. Just a great time. You know, I'm still enjoying the effects of it. just so uplifting.
Yeah, that was the one thing that struck me the most, that all these different organizations that you would never see together came together for this event.
NAN, National Action Network, they spoke. Elder Johnson. I
Yeah,
mean,
I see our good friend Nelson Rivers there
yeah,
from National Action Network.
yeah. I mean, just a great time. You know,
Very good. It's good that we come together to celebrate Martin Luther King. You see a lot of marches. I was in Hartsville for 2 events I was invited to, and wonderful work in Hartsville. Very impressive, bringing the community together. But from there, we need to do the work of policy. And our next topic is what's going on in the state legislature. And let me just kind of give everybody context with our state legislature. After the last election cycle in November 2022, the Republicans now have a supermajority in the state legislature. And what does that mean in layman terms? They do not have to negotiate with the Democrats because they have an overwhelming number of votes. They don't need Democratic votes at all, which we have been. So basically, we're now on paper a 2-party system, but in actual policy making, it's a 1-party. That is never good, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, because then you get into radicalism. And we've had it in South Carolina for quite a while. They've had a majority for a while. Now they have a supermajority. They don't have to negotiate. They don't have to compromise. So things like marching at the Dome, King Day, are very important so that the supermajority knows there are people out here with differing views, differing opinions, different takes on policy, law. So this is why it's very important to march and show up and get engaged. Now we're talking actual policy and legislature. The Republicans have a supermajority. They control every statewide seat in South Carolina, and now they're coming after school board, city, and county council, and it's burn the carpet. It's light the match and burn it down. And one main topic in doing that is education. They've been attacking public school education for years, and now they are in the position to not only attack it, they can take the money out of it. And if you take the money and you put it in private schools, it's going to decimate public schools that are already struggling, in particular in low wealth communities. Marvin, talk upon that. Deontay, talk upon that. Update our folks on what's going on with, is it private vouchers? Is that what they're trying to create and take that money out? And there's no pushback with votes because we don't have enough votes, but we're in dangerous times. Go ahead, Marvin.
Well, I was at the Senate 2 days last week during the session and stuff, and President Murphy was there, and some of the other members of the state NAACP and some of the branches. And Senator Ronnie Saves did an awesome job the other day. I wasn't there, but President Murphy talked about it this morning, and he communicated with us back and forth up and downstairs there. But just to hear the voice of your senators pushing out their concerns about this bill and the impact that it is on everyone, actually, because Republicans, it looks more like a party line vote. They don't care what the impact is. They're looking at party line more than the impact that it will be on the student. Because see what happens, we talked about it this morning, son. If this bill is passed, looks like it will be passed, but we're going to continue to fight. But the impact is this: the constitutional right for education, and how the rights of an individual, when it goes from public to private school, the money that goes from taxpayers and citizens, so does the right goes with it. But see, they want the money without the rights, and that's the biggest fight. It's the money without the rights, and that's what we have to continue to fight for. That legislation that we make sure it's understood and file lawsuits, whatever we have to do to continue to fight against the impact of what can if this bill was approved. Because I don't think a lot of parents can understand. This is the step to unravel Brown versus the Board of Education. This is the first step to unravel that, which that was the target all along for years. So everything that gave us rights as a minority and black people and people of color, it's always the attack to unravel that on the other side of the legislation stuff. So it's a lot there. The sessions will continue next week. They'll be voting. I heard on the Zoom call this week with the church, the Georgetown quality conference, where Elder Drayton was talking about the AME Church is going up in February to actually send a strong message to the state, and that speaks volume. That's 601 churches and members going up to the state house. The last time I saw that was during the appointment of Judge Jan B. Holmes to the circuit, 15th Circuit. It's a lot there, and anyone, I'll tell them today, it don't have to be AME, but hey, the church have to get back involved, Maryland, and I think we talked about that a lot. And it's important that we support that, whether you're Baptist, AME, whoever you are, just faith-based. Get behind these ministers, push your minister to get out and support these type efforts by the black community, NAACP and other organizations, Delta, Sigma, whoever, Divine Nine, NAN. Make sure that we get behind these educational opportunities for our people so we have a right, the same right and equal rights within the educational system here. So it's a lot going on, and I know we're going to talk about it some more today, but I can't say it enough. Sitting up in the Senate chamber, it was huge listening to even some of it was a Republican Democrat. Like, some of the Republicans saying the same thing. This don't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? But they are not, those that were speaking are not the majority, but they were speaking against that. And that's important that some of them or some of us have some better sense than others. So we're nonpartisan, but you have to call things as you see it, and who's saying what, so to make sure we know what we are targeting when we get back out to vote. Because it all comes right back from redistricting and the impact, the supermajority, moving district lines and black voting age population, stuff of that nature. All that is an impact. But the bottom line, Maryland, is the consequences of elections and getting our people out to vote and telling people to get out to vote, because they will feel it because of situations like this, privatizing, using public dollars to privatize schools.
At the bottom of the screen and in the comment section, I put the State House website. You can very quickly go to your state legislature, senator, or representative, and on the website, send them a message. You just go find them. It's easy. Just do a search on their name. It'll come up. Click it. They have a comments box. It gets to their staff, who will get it to your representative or senator. It's very important that we speak out, not only by marching, going to the state house when your church calls or any other organization calls, but you can do it from home. You can write letters, you can write emails, you can pick up the phone and call. They have people dedicated to listen to your phone call, and they make note of it because they have to. And the more of us who raise our voices, it's going to send the message not to privatize schools. I don't have anything against private schools. When I was younger, my parents sent me to parochial school. They didn't ask government to pay for it. They figured it out. They figured it out. My mother played organ at St. Cyprian's Catholic School. That was part of helping pay that bill. And I'm not saying not to go to private schools. We don't support private schools. We are big public school folks. We all finished public schools. We went to a public university. But if you want to go private, it's a reason it's called private. And I don't think it should take our tax dollars to send other people's kids to school, because this is just another form of resegregation. And that should not stand. It should not stand. So we need y'all to get involved. Marvin mentioned legislation and elections do matter. They do. But it's a good time to talk about what happened in Congressional District 1, where Nancy Mace's representative, they deliberately cut out. I was looking at the numbers last night. I think like 300,000 black voters they put in Congressional District 6, and they knew it. They knew what they were doing was illegal, and she knows it. So it
Yeah.
speaks to her character, because all of a sudden now she's trying to moderate her stance. I don't know if y'all noticed that. They
Oh yeah.
interviewed her. She's trying to show she's a moderate. Don't believe the lie. Do not believe the lie, because it speaks to her character. And I look at stuff like this, and we all should. She knew that district was gerrymandered on racial lines. And if you are a decent moral person, whether it's Republican or Democrat, you need to stand up and say, I want to be representative of all the people. And this is wrong. But she doesn't do that because her blind ambition to be a representative is more important than representing the constituents. It's more important than being a moral person. And that's one reason, no, she should not get reelected. And we need to, I know they're changing the lines and everything now, but this is another reason why we need to pay attention and get engaged. Deontay, any thoughts?
Well, you all said it all, but one thing we can't do is go backwards. Time has proven that anything that's separate cannot be equal. So why are we trying to do this? And this is, again, and he spoke to this so eloquently, Miss Marilyn. This is why elections matter. And now that Republicans have this supermajority, anything they want, they're just going to get their way. We got to make our way to those ballot boxes and make sure that our voice is heard, because otherwise we will constantly go backwards. Another bill that's on the floor right now that isn't getting a lot of attention actually directly affects me and anybody that is under my care, because there is a bill on the floor, H3515, that would remove the need for social workers to have a license. Let me say that again. It would remove the need for social workers to have licenses. Let me make this clear. It took me 9 years of school, including 3 years of graduate school and 3,000 hours of internship to become licensed. It's extensive work. So if we remove this requirement and anybody is able to call themselves a social worker, what type of service is the client going to be receiving at that point? If somebody with a bachelor's degree can call themselves the same thing as someone who should be required to have a master's degree and extensive experience in the field, we're not thinking about the consumer, and we're not thinking about the individuals who actually put in the work to make sure that we have not only quality individuals that are doing the services to the client, but that anybody can't just call themselves a social worker. That's very
So,
important. Very, very
Deontay,
important.
it is very important. I'm glad you brought that up. I was totally unaware of this, and I'm sure others are also. This is another reason why we need to call and say this should not happen. But let me ask, what is their justification for doing this? Do you know?
There is none. There is none. I actually spoke to Representative Anderson about this. He says that he's not in support of this bill and that he will oppose it. And when asked if what's going on with that, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand why. I guess just so more individuals can get into these positions without being qualified, like
And
so
that,
many other positions. That's the
and
only
that,
thing that comes to my mind.
and eventually, long term, and I'm learning every time the legislature comes back, I just realize how much we have a government that it's full of people who don't know how to govern,
Yeah.
and they don't have a vision for the state to say this is really what we want. They just hop from issue to issue, and it creates more issues. If you look at common sense, tells you if you lower qualifications, it diminishes the quality of the work that will be provided. Because if anybody can be a social worker, what's the standard? And you
Exactly.
really want people who need help to have quality help. The issue, but this ties back to attacking education.
Yeah.
Rather investing in providing people a good education, a free good education, We're diminishing the standards. We're diminishing the qualifications. And long term, that is not good for our people, our family, friends, and neighbors who may need their help. And it's also not good for the state. It impacts all of us. And it's another example with the teachers. They started with teachers, lowering those qualifications and standards. And how can you stand on this when the message you're sending to our children is we don't care about you because we're lowering the standards of the people we are allowing to provide you services. It's mind-boggling. It really is. It's mind-boggling. And this is why it's so important that we get involved, we get engaged, we constantly stay in touch. We work with your friends, families, and neighbors and get a letter to the legislative chain going. Get a phone tree going. I know we don't want to burden people on because it's hard out here. And the three of us know that. We know we get burned out and stuff, but we've got to get organized to the point that maybe y'all just circulate, notify your legislator, let them know we are against these things. We are for progress. We are for quality standards for social workers, teachers, and whomever. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Because
what's next? What's next? They're gonna remove the need for nurses to be registered as well? Where does it stop?
Well, Deontay, I don't want to get into that subject. You know what we did is up to the 25th. But if you look at it, just look what's happening with the magnet schools. We have created and grant been approved for $15 million for the rural area schools here in Foundsville, Brownsburg, Choppy, Pleasant Hill, Nosy. After the grant is approved, now on the floor the other night at the board meeting, it came up with closing Clownasville. But the thing is, the grant was approved for that purpose to keep Clownasville open, okay, and make sure that the opportunities are there across the board. All it does is to bring in a more robust opportunity for children that's disenfranchised and in poverty index area, poverty stricken area. So they do one thing on one end for the money, then they shift on the other end to close the school. That's not the way to go. You see what I'm saying? So you can move a child out of a poverty stricken area to another school, but what happens to the family that's still in a poverty-stricken area where the child left to go to school? All those things is a package deal. So you can't move one without fixing the other. And moving them out of the school, you need to fix the school and bring it up to the standard of the other schools across the district. That is the problem. It's the standard. We don't push for the standards, and we must continue to push people into place to say, no, that's not going to happen. This is what we did it for. And they're supposed to give a 4 to 5 year period to see how it works. The first thing on the floor the other night came up, let's look at again, closing Plainville and Brownsburg. You know what I'm saying? And the idea is just to close it. Move it to Kensington area. That's not the answer. Moving to Brownsburg, that's not the answer. You want to do something? Build a school right here in the Carvers Bay area. Or bring those children to the Carvers Bay school where the wing is already there. Then bring the standards back up for the schools and the buildings and stuff. That's supposed to be in the educational equality. We give up too much and sit back and say yes, and parents need to get out and speak to their children's condition. Because you private school, that's $18,000 per student. Public school is $6,000 per student. On the state house floor, say, look at all the money that we save. You don't save money. You're talking about maintenance costs, bus drivers, teachers, and all this other stuff. When it comes down to it, it should be the same level of education. If someone choose to send their children to another school private, that should be their money, not public dollars. And that's the way it should be governed.
I think this reflects the normalization of corruption. I think it is no excuse. This is to give context so people can understand and find the energy to get up and get fighting.
Yeah.
And Sheldon Butts, let me put what he, again, need another answer other than I will oppose the bill. Sheldon, you are correct. You are correct. We are We say get out there and get involved and call. You're correct, but we also educate, motivate, and activate. That's why we have the different workshops and other things that we do as the NAACP to educate people so they can form an opinion and demand. In the case of social workers, the simplest answer is to say, keep the standards. Why are you lowering standards? Keep the standards. And the better thing to say is not only keep the standards, but raise the standards. And that should be across the board. But we have normalized corruption so much in this state that I don't think people can see corruption. They can't see. And let me give you the prime example. The state superintendent of education has a fake master's degree. How can she go to our children? And she does visit schools.
You talk with standards.
And look those children in their eyes and say, I expect you to do well in school, when those children know she got a fake master's degree. Do not think our children don't know, because our children watch us. They watch us. They know this woman, the top education person in the state of South Carolina, cheated her way to a fake master's degree. And she is not being held accountable. Only, and because we're nonpartisan, I only mention the Democratic Party because they are an entity that has filed the suit against the accreditation body, Bob Jones University, the Secretary of Education, and a couple of other groups, and maybe the Republican Party in there, because basically she cheated. But you're going to go to our children, because when you're educating our children, you're not only educating them on the ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, but you're educating them on critical thinking skills and morals, character. Wasn't Character Week a big thing? Yet the top education person lied her way to a fake master's degree based on standards established by the Republican Party. The Republican Party introduced a bill in the law that set the minimum requirement, a master's degree for our Secretary of State. But as soon as they had someone who could do their bidding to tear down public school education, they threw all that out and said, we need fresh blood in these positions. But they've been controlling these positions for 20 years. So the fresh blood ain't coming from the Republican Party. Corruption's coming from the Republican Party. This is why we have to get educated, motivated, and activated. And activation means one, voting, but it means showing up to school board meetings, city and county council. I know we all can't do it because I can't make the meetings like I used to. I have to be very specific when I come there because we all have something to offer from different angles, but we've got to get engaged, folks. We've got to run for office. We got to call these people out. Go ahead.
I was sitting by our educational chair the other night, Liz Brackner and Sharon Jones at the school board meeting. And they were so engaged in that meeting. I really felt, I felt a sense of relief. You see what I'm saying? We have strong committees in the Georgetown branch here, but they really brought a different perspective. And Liz is an education. She just retired out of education last year, which she is the chair of the committee up under Deontay Winchester's leadership and stuff. But one thing we have to understand, bro, privatizing, what that does, that $6,000 that we pay in public school now, the parent of those students, if it goes to private school, bears that remaining cost. They don't talk about that. The remaining cost, that $18,000, that comes from the parent of that poverty-stricken area. Because when you're talking scholarship, that's only limited. When you start talking entry, that's limited. So we have to make sure that we understand what's good for us. Magnet school is good, but we have to make sure that our children get out of it what the intention is for them to get out of it. So we have to get engaged as parents and community leaders to make sure we are at those meetings, standing on the head of those folks and saying no, and this is what we're going to do with it after the grant is written in one way, and they're trying to do something else with it. And I'm not saying the school district is doing that, but we have to make sure that when it comes up for discussion at these school districts, our voice needs to be sent back out to them saying, no, this is what it's supposed to be. This is what the grant was written for. And hey, let's help make these people understand and the parent of these children understand. We can fight all day, but the parent of these children need to be standing in these school districts offices, in these board meetings, in the streets when we're marching and protesting and press conferences. Because that's what it's all about. Get your voice out there. Let them know no. Let your elected officials say no, no. Because it's a very interesting balance in Georgetown here when it comes down to the school board. It flows in different directions. So we have to be careful who we put on there also. You know. So,
Very true. Very true. Very true. Yeah, it's 11:48. I can't stay. I have to get ready for a press conference on Monday. Got a lot to do today. But we have a lot of things coming up. But we do want to tell folks: get educated, motivated, and activated. Show up. If you can't, send somebody. Send somebody who can bring back the message and educate your community. Oh, one more thing before we go. Georgetown County Comprehensive Plan. They're in the midst of it right now. You need to go to the Georgetown County website, go to Comprehensive Plan. The two elements that they're working on, transportation element. I don't see anything about electric vehicles. Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act, billions of dollars being invested in electric vehicles in a good way. You could get tax credits when you go buy the car. You will receive your tax credit at that time. You don't have to wait the tax season. And this tax credit is for new and used electric vehicles. And they did that so more low wealth income folks can have access to electric vehicles, because this is the future. Electric vehicle charging stations are being first. It's like a 20-year plan to roll those out. They're going to start with interstates. We're actually talking to legislators about speeding up that process to get it into rural areas. The way it's set up now, the rural areas are on the back end. We need electric vehicle charging stations in rural areas much sooner than that. And then I forgot the other thing. Oh, jobs. I'm learning a lot about electric vehicles because of the Gullah-Geechee Chamber and the work that we're doing. They need software engineers. That's where the real money is. In our community, your children need to get to STEM and STEAM programs. We need art, so that's why we have STEAM. It's very important for that innovative, creative mind. Software engineers, they need people in the factories to put the stuff together. That is very important too. But the key is software engineers, because artificial intelligence is changing our world even as we speak. And we need to be aware of that, and especially artificial intelligence. So I just want to let people know, get involved with your comprehensive plan. It's just not a workshop. It has real world impact. Transportation and resilience. And resilience is the environmental piece, water quality, water monitoring. Wars are being fought over water. Just give a quick example. In Arizona, the city of Scottsdale is being sued by another city because Scottsdale literally kicked the entire city off of the water system. This city, in a day, lost water. It is coming to that, folks. And this can happen here. Do not take it for granted, because we live near the ocean and a lot of water, that water issues will not impact us. They are impacting us to this day.
Hey, Marilyn.
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing on that, if you just look at, I think we need to bring Mayor McCleary of Andrews on and talk about the water situation there and how some of their water systems were shifted to Georgetown County Water and Sewer District because of the backdoor dealing and stuff. And the impact of them losing all this revenue behind it, and the things that he had to do to fight to get to fund his money that was owed to Andrews after he took over as mayor. Others' eyes were closed or in the backdoor dealings with others during that same time. So, and he has a very robust approach to getting what Andrews needs. They're under a lawsuit right now with $3.2 million trying to get for Andrews. So those things that we get behind, it's huge. It's a huge fight going right now with that. And hopefully in this month right here coming up, that should be in the courts, because they've been kicking that can down the road for a while now, trying to hurt him with legal fees and stuff like that, hoping they just fall apart. But I don't think he's going nowhere. And we have to get behind.
He's in this one. He's in
Yeah,
this one.
and we have
Yeah,
to
and
be
I'm
in
glad you brought it up because it's not just Arizona lawsuits. It is right now in real time happening in South Carolina. And Andrews is a prime example of this is what's going to end up happening. Lawsuits to get right by the people. And this is
right
just
by
to do right by the people that we got to sue the government. But it's
Yep.
the people who get elected that are making these terrible decisions because they are not for the people, they are for self. Um, so we're getting
And
pretty
saying
close
that
to
briefly,
time. Go ahead,
Maryland,
Marvin.
also that housing suit is coming up this month. It's already been in docket in the courts. So look for that. We're gonna need support behind that. And that's what a lot of our banquets and stuff like that is about. That's where our funding go into these fights. Yes, some of our money go up to the top, but that's what Fight For Us is the top. So we have to make sure, and I know Deontay gonna hop on that some with the banquet and stuff that we haven't had one in 3 years. So there's going to be a lot of awards given out there and stuff. But we want to make sure that we don't miss the ball and stuff when it comes down to fighting for our community, and that the community don't miss the ball and stuff when it comes down to supporting the NAACP and those organizations that really get out and fight for them with redistricting, housing, voting rights, and everything else, and registering voters to be buying 9, Club 142. There's just a lot going in Georgetown. There's a lot of great organizations in Georgetown, great partnership here in Georgetown. So, and we have witnessed that over the past 3 or 4 years here under my leadership. I understand that. So.
Well, that's a great segue since you mentioned banquet. I was getting to it, Deontay. I hadn't forgot. A great segue into our banquet because it does support the work that we do. The unfortunate, we have to get to the point where we do lawsuits and when we do our press conferences, our banquets and stuff. This supports the work. It really does support the work, folks. And when we do housing stuff, it supports the work. Deontay, first annual Spotlight Awards. What's going on? Where are we now? And yes, I still have tickets. I got tickets for sale. Go ahead.
I'm excited about this one. Of course, the membership is the lifeblood of the association, but this really supports our direct action. What we do, as Marilyn said, takes money. It takes resources to do these press conferences, to do these marches, and to do all of the things that we do in the community. It takes finances. So this is our chief fundraiser, and we're asking you to support. We haven't done one in 3 years, and this one is going to be a little different. We're doing a red carpet event. And when we say that, we're not saying that figuratively. We're saying that literally there's going to be a red carpet dressed to impress and come out because there's going to be a photo op with the backdrop on the red carpet. The donation is $50 per person. We still have tickets out there. They are limited. So please hurry if you want to go. But this is going to be an event you do not want to miss. Not only are we awarding individuals from the community, but we're awarding individuals from our branch and other branches that have done great work to support us here in Georgetown. Thank you all. We look forward to seeing you there.
How can they get tickets?
Tickets can be purchased by coming by 1001 Front Street in Georgetown.
In the basement.
The back entrance, the basement, or you can reach us by telephone and we'll make sure that someone can meet you with a ticket if you call 843-790-4075. 843-790-4075. We still have sponsorship packets available as well. If anyone is interested in being a sponsor and you haven't gotten the literature and the invite to be a sponsor as of yet, please reach out to us and we will make sure that you have everything you need.
When is the deadline for sponsorship packet to be in? Thursday?
Deadline is actually on Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Great work. Great job.
I'm looking forward to next Saturday.
We appreciate everyone for joining us. Make sure that you let your representative know that H3515 is no good for anybody. No good for anybody. Call them 50 times a day. Also
Senate Bill 39.
Senate Bill 39. And if you live in the city of Georgetown, show up to those city council meetings and let them know that the people need to be heard. Because as of right now, Brother Wesley Gibson and I sat in that meeting, and we waited until 8:23 to be able to speak publicly. Public comment on issues that are not on the agenda. For this meeting, we were able to speak at 8:23 p.m. That's no good. They're doing that to purposely silence the people. So,
And,
go ahead, Mr. Neal.
and Deontay, one thing we have to realize when you see the mayor and these city councilmen them out there, make sure you remind them when they're out in the public, making this noise about they want to hear the people. They want to hear the people. You can't hear the people if you are taking the public comment and put it in a position where the people are struggling. These people have to go back home and get their kids ready for school and everything else. The meeting starts at 5 o'clock, and they don't hear the people until 8 something, and these 3 hours sitting in a meeting, watching them, telling you they want to hear you, but they really don't want to hear you. That's why elections have consequences. We just elected a young lady in there, Kamiko Obing, and we need to get more minorities prepared to run for these positions and get them into positions and get people that cares about you that's not minority to run for these positions. That's the key. That's the key. You have to get people to run for the position, and everyone needs to make a united effort to get behind it. Because we're about getting the black vote out. That's our job. Getting the black vote out. How you vote is your choice, but we want to give you an opportunity to exercise your voting rights.
And you have a right to raise your voice. This is just totally against the First Amendment, suppressive, because they get a little uncomfortable sitting in the seat. Now, if you go approach them physically or something, that's something different, y'all. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right? But to speak out and share your opinion, and part of the problem, people get passionate about it because our elected officials are not holding town hall meetings. So by the time they get to the county council meeting, city council meeting, people are emotional and they're going to get it out. So instead of saying, I should do better, the elected officials, and speak to my people more often and hold town hall meetings, maybe send them a newsletter, they're doing the opposite and suppressing the vote. That's it, folks. We got lazy elected officials. So that's another reason why it's important to elect different people.
That's beyond lazy. That's cowardice. They don't want to face the people. That's a coward. That's beyond lazy.
Exactly.
Because their agenda is already set. Why they were elected? It's a set agenda, and it's one that don't serve us. It only serves those that sits there with that agenda that they brought to the table. There's another election coming up in June, and I think we really need to get out on the ground. And we can't wait till June. We have to get out and start educating our people on what's affecting them right now and help them understand why they need to vote and get them out to vote. That's the key. That's all I have.
Thank you. Educate, Motivate, Activate. One quick reminder, this Monday at 1 o'clock at Joseph Hayne Rainey Park, we are announcing the big event, Bring Harriet Home, Journey to Freedom, a monumental event, 1 o'clock at Joseph Hayne Rainey Park. We're holding a press conference announcing this event and our fundraising efforts. This event will be 3 months, August 1st to October 31st. And a key component of this event is our stakeholder committee that's engaging the community across the entire county. We want the community to be involved. We want the community to host events during this 3 months because we want to educate, motivate, and activate it. You can do it in more than one ways, from a social justice perspective and from a cultural heritage perspective. Love for everyone to come out and learn more about it. It's 1 o'clock this Monday at Joseph Hayne Rainey Park. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you, Deontay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marvin. I haven't seen you in a while, Marvin. I don't know what to do.
It's been a long time, Marilyn. We've been in this fight a long time.
Yeah, we have been. And it continues.
Long
it
time.
continues.
Oh,
it continues.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody. Now let's get back to work. It's always good to talk with everyone. And Deontay, thank you for the work that you do. Looking forward to more of it. Everyone, have a wonderful day. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.